The Terminator is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. Terminator 2 is my favorite movie of all time. Sarah Connor is also one of my favorite movie characters of all time. So I just thought it would be nice if I just made a video talking about everything I love about this movie. So it's not really a review. I mean, in some ways it kind of is, but I'm going more in depth about this. So we're going to start talking about Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And to kick things off, you have this movie just holds up so well to the time that it was made in the 90s. There are films that have been made this year. This year! And they look absolutely terrible. Meanwhile, you have this, was made in the 90s, and it looks absolutely incredible, fantastic. It holds up. Like the plot itself, it's just such a great concept that we get where you're building off of what came before it. You're building off of the original Terminator and the ideas that were inside of it. Like, the T-800 was learning from humans, like, it was learning to be a serial killer in that one. Like, it was intentionally doing things. He was learning human emotion in that, which is why he was such an efficient killer. He was using it to his advantage. In this movie, they decide to expand upon that, and they do such a good job of building tensions, such as when you're in the mall scene with John Connor and he's running from the police officer that's actually the T-1000, and he then stumbles across Arnold, and he then takes a look at him, and he freezes up, and then he just like starts turning around because he notices that he has a gun. We're like, oh no, this guy's so dead, because we know through the first movie how this guy is an efficient killer and he will do anything to complete his mission. And we then keep going, and he's the T-1000 and the T-800 are in the same room together, and they're both facing towards John. And in the quick moment, we don't know what's happening. We're just thrown into it, and then the T-800 just says that awesome line, "Get down," and then they decide to twist the tables. Like, what? Wait, this guy's a good guy? I mean, they establish it earlier in the movie because like they're so clever that they establish something that you may not have even realized, that in the first film, when he immediately comes into the past, he stumbles across a couple of like gang people who he immediately roughs them up and kills all of them in some pretty brutal ways. That I can say that was very impressive for its time. This film, and they weren't really trying to provoke him. They were just like kind of mocking him a bit. This film, when he goes into a bar, they are intentionally mocking him, and you can see that he's refraining from killing all of them. All he does is like wound. He puts a knife in a guy's like part of his shoulder to keep him still so he doesn't move, and he's like, pull it out, pull it out. And another guy, he throws him onto a stove so he gets burned. So he's like, take the keys. And he also takes his clothes, which actually makes for a really funny scene in which, and when the song "Bad to the Bone" starts playing, and it shows him like getting onto the motorcycle and taking the glasses, coolest glasses ever. I have a pair just like that I like to use to joke about me being a Terminator. My mom once was like, "Oh great, so he looks like a killer." And I then was like, "No, he's only a killer in the first movie." And then my dad said, "No, he actually kills in the second." I said, "No, he shoots several different people in the leg, but he never actually kills anyone. He only kills the T-1000, and mostly that was he kills the T-1000, but that's technically not a person, that's a machine." So, and the movie, you're established that this is the perfect guardian for John. Like, Sarah, like, even she knows that she was wronged by the Terminator and was nearly killed. And the Terminator killed Kyle Reese. So she does not like it. She's afraid of it. And I know a lot of people complain that she kind of overacts in her scene. Let me ask you a question. If you were in the past, you were told that a Terminator was sent after her to kill you, this really big hulking presence that keeps stalking you, following you, and just keeps on getting up. Nothing stops him, and kills your boyfriend that you just had some fun with, and you're being hunted. Wouldn't you be a bit afraid, especially if he had just come back especially and he just came back and your son's foster parents are dead. Would you be a bit afraid? Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's not really a very good argument to make against saying that she overacts. She does not really overact. She is perfectly good in her acting, and you're established that this guy, he is the perfect he is the perfect guardian for John. He will do anything to protect him. He is a person who he listens to John. Like when he's talking about how Sarah got locked away and the T-800's listening. He's not just like shut off or something. He's listening to him, and it just makes for such a compelling character. And over the course, he just loves. He's learning compassion for John. Like you see him like make it like this like smirk when he sees. Sorry about that cut right there, but anyway, like you see him take this gun, this mini gun, and John's like, "That is definitely you," and he makes this like smirk as if he's like, "Oh yeah." Like you see him that he's actually learning the human emotion. The director's cut, they give a different opinion on why he is changing. They have him like take out this like bolt that keeps him from going into like full AI to learn human emotion. In the regular edition, the theatrical edition, as I'll call it, that's not the exact definition of how he. It's just that he's really smart. That's more my version of why I. That's my definitive version that he didn't. That in the director's cut that they have to have him take something out just for him to learn that. This movie is such a masterpiece, and there's just so much stuff about it. Like he realizes that Sarah's like he even realizes at one point Sarah's going to kill Miles Dyson, and he's like, and he's shocked kind of, and he immediately takes John to go and stop her, and like essentially, Sarah has become like she has this amazing character arc through the two films where like she in the first one is almost this damsel in distress, and by the end of the first one she's almost a soldier basically, where she just says, "You're terminated." I'm not finishing that sentence or I'm gonna kill myself, but anyway, she's like now a soldier in the ending of the first one, and she realizes that she needs to prepare John, and after she prepares him she tries to blow up a factory, which then leads to her getting busted by the feds. Yeah, that sounds pretty dated, doesn't it? I don't care. But anyway, and she's essentially become a Terminator herself. She's trying to kill Miles Dyson, and she's lost all her humanity. She's like yelling at the kid and the mother to move, and then she just like breaks down, and she's just crying. It's just so good at everything it does. It makes this. You even if you do like the original one more, says it has better pacing or something, you cannot admit this one has the. You can admit this one has the most depth. It feels the most personal of these movies, like how all these characters are given a specific arc they're on, and by the end of it, all of them are fulfilled. Like at the beginning, Miles Dyson's portrayed as someone that he wants to do the right thing, but he's not being told what to do, so it's kind of odd on where he is in life. And anyway, but after he sees the T-800 like use a knife and start ripping his like metallic skin, like the skin over himself off, and they're like, ah, and then you see the look in his eyes, and he's like, wow, machines really, that is like the Terminators are actually real. So he realizes that he needs to do the right thing, and he's an essential part of blowing up the factory where like he risks his life by he intentionally keeps the bomb in his hand knowing that he's about to be blown up. I cannot hold it anymore like that, and he sacrifices himself, and it's just so memorable. It's another character arc that we get. So this movie is full of them, and John, another character arc. We're going to be talking about arcs a lot. Like John, in the beginning, he's portrayed as kind of this bratty kid at times. He's kind of rude and self-centered. Like even when the T-800 won't let go of him, he's like, "Let go, help, get this psycho off of me," and then he says, "Let go," and then he like just the T-800 lets go, and he's like, "Why'd you do that?" And then the T-800 says, "Because you told me to." Like and then he's like, "Oh, you have to do what I say." So, he's then rude to these like teens, and even though he's still kind of bratty at times, he's given just enough humanity and kindness to make him very likable and relatable, kind of like us. And like he sees that the T-800's pulling out a gun, and he's like, "No!" And he keeps him from shooting the guy, and it's just so deep. It gives you everything that you want from a Terminator film, while getting the other sequels that would then try and erase the film's legacy. Look at you, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. And also, you can say that this film really does a good job of spreading darkness when they have it just with enough humor. Like, there's a scene involving where the John Connor has him stop, and he's like, "Look, do you need to promise me that you're not going to kill anyone?" And he's like, "I promise." And then he's like, "Swear on it." And he says, "What?" That's funny enough, but then he says, "I swear I will not kill anyone." We then less than 10 seconds later, he gets off the motorcycle over the guy. He grabs out his gun and shoots him in the leg. He's like, "Why'd you do that?" And then he's like, "He'll live." I mean, that is just so funny. He'll live. I mean, yeah, he will live. I mean, that's also really funny that he's doing that and all. And there's a scene where he's like, "Trust me," and that's where you see that he's becoming more human throughout this film. And even though he kind of makes this machine-like faces where he's just almost always straight-faced, and Arnold had to do that, that's kind of the reason that the robots like that. But you buy it. Like, you buy it. That this guy is, like, you care about the T-800. That's not something that happens. He doesn't come off as a caricature. He doesn't come off as if he's making fun of himself, like T3 Rise of the Machines did. Same thing with the humor. It has humor, but it's not coming at the expense of the film, like like Terminator 3 Rise of the Machine did. I'm gonna be mentioning that one and roasting that one a lot. I really hate that movie. And also the villain in here. The villain is so memorable in the fact that he's so like just almost like you really fear him. In the director's cut, you establish that this guy is evil. Like, he does one of the most awful things. Like in the theatrical edition, both his foster parents are killed, but in the director's cut, both foster parents are killed. I'm joking. Both foster parents are killed in the director's cut as well. But remember Wolfie, or should I say, what was his name? Max, I think. Yeah, I think it was Max. But we then have an extended scene where we see the T-1000 walking up to the walking up to like the cage where the dog is and like killing it. He kills a dog. Who does that? Apparently a lot of people now, especially the people in John Wick. Ugh. But this is just such a character study. It's a character study for this machine. We don't get that anymore. We don't get classics anymore. Nowadays, we only get like action films that people love, but they're not considered classics. I love Top Gun Maverick. It's not a classic, but like Terminator 2, both classics. They hold up. The Terminator a little less so, with like the effects that kind of look dated now because of the stop motion. Even people who are biased more towards the original will say that the original one is better. You're gonna definitely say that T2 has better effects, in that the Terminator's effects can look a bit dated. Like, even though if it doesn't bother you, you can admit it can bother some. It is kind of dated. And the action in here is so well paced. We get James Cameron, like, he's the king of action, and when it comes to these movies, he is really good at taking a classic, like the Terminator and Alien. Both films I love. And then he takes it into the hands of sequels. He gives us Terminator 2 and Aliens. Both films that he takes away the horror elements of both of those films. Turns it into into an action masterpiece that are both films are in my top 3. And then we also get a third film in both franchises that were made by directors nowhere near as good as James Cameron that then decided that it would be funny if they ruined the legacy of the original. I mean, of the second one. Alien 3 really embarrassed itself. I still haven't even finished Alien 3. I really don't know if I'm going to. It is so bad. But this movie, it's everything that you want from an action film. It's a sci-fi classic. I cannot think of anyone that dislikes this film. People who are on Rotten Tomatoes and say that it's bad, they're just faking you. They're trolling it. No one hates this film. You're not a movie buff if you don't like Terminator 2. It's impossible. This film, it just takes everything that you love about the original one. It ups the ante in the climax. Like, you get all sorts of amazing stuff. Like, there's some really good action chases in here, like the one involving the T-1000, John, and the T-800, where the T-800 is trying to get John off the motorcycle before he gets killed, and that one's really good. I will admit, you do see both Eddie Furlong and Arnold Stunt Devil. Both can be seen. It's pretty obvious. It's like really in your face, but I don't get bothered by it. Just like there are some people that I have friends like Nick, like the movie ranker. He doesn't really get bothered by the effects in the Terminator. I don't get too bothered by the fact that you can't see Eddie and Arnold's Stunt Devil. It's not that bad. I know that there are people that'll miss it, but and like the fact is, in the film they literally use a helicopter and have it go under the bridge. That's a real helicopter. They did not use this like CGI stuff. This stuff is all real. And it's so believable, and like James Cameron, he's the man. Like, you don't seem to understand that one gust of wind, it would have killed everyone. And I can tell you, James Cameron would not have been a very popular person after that, except for known as the guy that managed to kill several people in a helicopter accident and also derail a bridge. But he took a risk, and it paid off. We get one of the coolest chases in movie history, and it leads up to the climax of the film where we get this amazing final battle where we actually get Arnold's amazing and probably the greatest line in movie history, "Hasta la vista, baby." And is there anything else to say about this film that has not already been said? I'm just saying, this film, it delivers. I've said that many times in this video. I'm starting to even get tired of me saying it, and that happens a lot, but still. And like I said, they managed to make the T-800 not a caricature, so as when we get to the climax and the T-800 is realizing to himself, I need to lower myself and sacrifice myself, he realizes what he must do, and he looks sorry about it. He does not think that he should do it, but his programming makes him do it. He's like, I must do it to save this child that I've grown to love. And like John, he's distraught. He can't stand the fact of losing this father figure that he loves now. And even Sarah, this guy killed Kyle Reese. And you can see in her eyes that when this guy is thinking of lowering himself, she looks at him and is like, she makes his face almost like she's hesitant, like she's not going to do it. And as if she doesn't want to do it. Like, you can see that she's like, but do I want to do it? He's like, this is John's now father, basically. And it just makes you feel so happy that she actually now enjoys him. That Dark Fate kind of took away from that by making her hate the T-800 again, although in Dark Fate's defense, the T-800 then did also kill John Connor in that movie, so that was kind of justifiable, but still, I don't know if we needed any other Terminator movies. It should have just been a 2 and done. Not a 1 and done, 2 and done. And it just, and he's like, I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do.
I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do.
That's gonna get the man tears going. It always does it for me. And in any other like director, when when the T-800's lowering himself and he makes a thumbs up, that would have looked extremely corny in a lot of just other things. It would have just looked so unbelievably corny and just so dumb. But in this movie, it makes it work. Why? Because they built up to it, and James Cameron knows how to shoot this stuff. And the film just ends right after that. We see a quick montage through a road and just Sarah Connor like narrating a bit of stuff, but it's not too. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You never feel bored. Like even the dialogue in this film, it's not too much. It's not too much for you. Like the original one, it does have a lot of exposition dumps, but it uses that to its advantage. But it does go a bit overboard sometimes. But this film, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It goes on, and that's hard to do because this movie is like 2 hours and like 16 minutes. The director's cut's 2.5 hours. It's long. That is what I would recommend. Get the director's cut. It's a longer version, and it also you actually get to see Kyle Reese in the director's cut. We actually get to see Michael Biehn back. So this is easily a 10 out of 10, A+ for movie for me, S+. And anything that people have said about this movie that is good, pretty much everyone has said something good about this movie, but anyone who says something good about this movie has pretty much ever been said, so I'm basically just repeating stuff that people have said before. But this is just a new series that I started called Why I Love, and I'm going to be using a movie. I will try and do them every month or two. This was episode 1. My episode 2 is planned to be Die Hard or Aliens or Rocky, one of those 3. I don't know which one it will be, but I can assure you I will try and do this again. This has definitely been fun. And I also now have several other shows under my ledger. I now have Versus, Why I Love, and also the Genre Challengers thing. Again, that is not actually... I can tell my peers that are also doing this do not like that name at all. I can tell. So, just so you know, please, if you think of a better name, please share it in the comments. I need help with that. Please. I beg you. But thank you all so much for watching this. Please like and subscribe. Do you like Terminator 2? I'm pretty sure you all must like Terminator 2. But still, thank you all so much for watching this, and have a good one.